Hello and welcome to the Barclays Group Resilience 2050 tour, where you will learn how to conduct a war game. Without further ado, let me introduce you to Barclays' world-famous resilience machine. It is such an amazing achievement for us. The machine lets us feed in problems and then analyse workable solutions to create realistic scenario exercises. That's how Barclays offer the highest standard of uninterrupted service. It really makes me proud to say that our resilience machine is one of a kind. Barclays didn't always have it this easy though. Back in 2016, there were massive changes as the business introduced Barclays War Games. It was a new idea for the business back then, and over the years, all our departments really embraced it. Gather round, everyone. This picture was Barclays' first inspiration. The military had been doing war games for centuries. It really helped commanders anticipate opponents' moves on the battlefield and prepare for unforeseen circumstances. It really let the commander get into the mind of the enemy. The war games were a robust test, and it made them less vulnerable on the battlefield. Barclays realised they could benefit from using the wargaming methodology to understand possible vulnerabilities and have strategies in place before they might occur, to make their planning and problem-solving far more robust. Barclays took this idea very seriously and formed the Group Resilience team, who you can see in this picture. This team included Mike, Stephen and Lee. The team quickly realised that wargaming would really let Barclays look at problems from another perspective, identifying all of the challenges they could face by getting into the mind of the challengers and allowing them to make improvements before issues actually arose. Let's carry on with our tour. Barclays War Games were, and still are today, scenario-based activities that simulated real situations. Wargaming created a culture of open thinking. Ooh, it's landed on cyber attacks. Barclays' first war game. OK, I will talk you through the steps of this war game. Pay attention now. This is the important bit. The steps to this war game are what we still use today. So here is Stephen. He took the role of the war game controller. That meant he was completely neutral in the war game. His role was to plan and facilitate. Are you ready to learn how to create a war game? These are the steps he took. Stephen felt the business could be vulnerable to the issue of cyber attacks. He knew a war game would make Barclays' plans more robust if a cyber attack really occurred. Next, he decided on the format. For this war game, it would be held in the boardroom, and he felt a couple of hours would be enough time. Stephen established the aim of the war game and set 3 objectives. Of course, these were set against the overall backdrop of ensuring that we always do the right thing for our customers. Next, he created a game book. It had all the material needed for the participants to plan during the war game. He made sure everything was for internal use only. It would be a disaster if someone external came across the game book and thought it was real. Can you imagine? Stephen took the planning stage seriously, and it was really reflected in the success of the war game. He was now ready to hand everything out to the participants. At the same time, Lee had formed his blue team. Blue represented Barclays. It was important to have knowledgeable colleagues. Since the subject was cyber attacks, Lee chose members from the crisis leadership team and incident response team. Mike formed his red team. Red represented the challengers, such as the media, customers and competitors. So he chose experts with experience in each of these areas. A journalist to represent the media, and operations experts to represent competitors. He used a mix of internal and external experts to get a good balance. The red team are key to a war game. They need to be expert enough to really understand the subject and challenge the blue team on their ideas. So the teams were formed and the war game began. The blue team examined the cyber attack scenario in their game books and planned how Barclays would respond, while the red team tried to identify all of the challenges that Barclays would face. The blue team presented their plan to the red team, but Mike had chosen his red team well, as they had discovered things that the blue team hadn't thought of and really challenged back. They had created pretend social media comments from upset customers and articles by the press. They had even found ways that our competitors might take advantage of the situation we were in. The blue team had to reconvene and make a far better plan. They persevered until they were confident they had the best plan possible. And that, everyone, is how Barclays successfully held their first war game. And here we are back at our resilience machine. At the end of the war games, the lessons learnt would be noted, and most of the time there would be further research or decisions to be made. A final report of solutions and best practices would be put together. Over time, we had hundreds of reports full of valuable and insightful information. We compiled it together, and our resilience machine was born. The benefits of the war games were quickly recognised throughout Barclays, and many teams engaged with the idea. Never forget that we would not be where we are today if it wasn't for the employees who embraced war games back in 2016. They didn't know then what their hard work and perseverance would create. Those war games started to make Barclays the resilient organisation it is today. Okay, let's recap quickly on the key points you need to remember to create your own war games. 1. Establish the aim of the war game. 2. Create a game book. 3. Carefully select your blue and red teams. 4. Create a report of findings and recommendations. We have created a group resilience wargaming E&A pack for you, with the materials you need to help create your own war game. Remember though, that group resilience are always here, should you need any assistance. Now you have learned the steps to create a war game, please join our efforts. The resilience machine needs your input.